The Tender Bar. This is the latest film to come out from Amazon's original film line, and it's the latest film to be directed by George Clooney. And that itself almost warrants its own video because George Clooney, as a director, is way different than George Clooney as an actor. As an actor, George Clooney is just so, sharp, and Clooney, he's just fun, energetic. He just has this energy about him where he's slowly, gracefully went into these more mature roles, and I think that's cool. But as a director, George Clooney is just completely different. He's reserved, he's quiet, he tells these really interesting thrillers or these really interesting concept pieces, and I think The Tender Bar is a great example of why Clooney couldn't direct. I'm not going to say Clooney's a great director. He's fine, and I think The Tender Bar is a well-directed film. This entire piece plays off exactly like a Good Will Hunting type of movie, where it's a man coming into this world where he is given this power, I say power loosely, he's given this ability to learn and to flourish in this world, and he does some interesting stuff with that. It's a confusing film at times because I think it's trying to be positive on this idea that you don't need the father to succeed in this business, but it keeps going back to the well of the father being the reason you are the way you are, and that kind of destroys its own narrative a little bit, where it's either in support of that idea or it's against it at different times, and if it was just clearly one of those, it'd work better. And I don't think that's really the problem with the film. It's just something that you're going to notice when you're watching this. It starts off as this young child. He doesn't have the father figure in his life. His mother has to move back into her family, and slowly he's going to relate to his uncle or his grandfather and these other mature characters in his life who are going to give him guidance in a different way. He literally goes on a train, and the narration is kind of just him talking about these people. He meets the father, the priest on the train, meets that, his grandfather, again, his uncle, these people that are supposed to be the father figure, but again, they don't fill the actual void of the father figure. And that is kind of an interesting area to explore. That itself is classic, dramatic storytelling, and people like that stuff. And when you have a good cast like you do here, it feels more authentic. Again, it's just Ben Affleck doing his Ben Affleckiest thing ever. And some people might not like that, but I am a fan of Ben Affleck. I think he's earned his stripes in terms of working in this industry. He's had a lot of hiccups, but when he can come out on top and do something absolutely incredible, I think that's cool. And he plays the coolest guy in the room, which I get it. He is, for what this movie is setting up, he's the only guy who's for sure in every situation. He's the only one that kind of comes out on top in every situation, which is fine, because that's how this boy writing this story about his family is going to perceive his uncle. He's the coolest, he's the best, he knows the most about the world and about women and about cars and all this stuff. That is fine. And Ben Affleck does a great job presenting that. I know there's been a couple of Critics' Choice Awards or whatever going around where he's been nominated or he's been in contention for the award. I completely get it. Do I think it's a brilliant performance? It's not, really. It's a strong, solid performance where he is confident and in control, and I think that is really cool. But it's not the strongest performance I've seen him give. It's just the perfect place in his life, I think, emotionally and personally, where everything he's been through the past couple of years have just culminated to him being this is why I act again. This is why I do these things, because I am confident, I am in control, I can have fun, I can look cool while I'm doing it, and people can still be reminded that I know what I'm doing in this industry. And that's kind of, I think, the same with Clooney too. Those two, they made a really good combination here, just directing and actor. That worked really well. And Ty Sheridan, who's a young guy that I think is just really good. He had a few hiccups too. Ready Player One was a weird film, and he's made some interesting stuff since then, getting kind of away from the genre piece and coming more into the dramatic roles. They've been really good to him, and you just really see that he can hold his own. He looks the part. He just feels authentically a part of this world, and the accent game is pretty strong. Sometimes when you're doing that really thick kind of, New York or Boston type of accent, it can get lost in translation where it just becomes a parody of itself. And I think some of the extended family, you get the sense there that that's the feeling. Ty does great at it. He really just nailed the feeling, made it feel good. There's a beautiful part of the story where he's kind of trying to impress this one girl throughout most of the film, and I'm this is very Good Will Hunting. Right down to Ben Affleck telling you to get out there, and he doesn't want to see you back in this town because you have a whole life to live. And that's kind of cool. I think that stuff all works fine. The writing is pretty okay. I'm not going to say it's brilliant, but it was strong. The dialogue pieces are hit or miss to me, and I think that's okay. Overall, I am positive on this film. I just think the stuff that weighs it down is very noticeable, where it's always drawing itself back to the father connection when it should be about what's right in front of you. But I guess from the life of the young kid, that's going to be something he always comes back to. The kid who played like the young version of JR, I think he's talented too. Like, I don't know the name of that kid, but he looks like he's going to be good in this industry. He's got the right feel. He knows how to emote properly, so that's pretty cool. And I'm always a sucker for things that are about writers. That, like, I think when you do that, when you have a writer or a team working on something about writing, it's going to come off a certain way. And I think the way that this film presents writing is pretty impressive, where it's just like, no matter if you are successful or not, the moment you say you're a writer and you just do it, you're a writer. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It doesn't matter if you have it. You are a writer regardless of what you do. And when that's your career path, well, good luck with that, because there's some stuff that comes along with it that you're going to have to deal with, which I think plays up pretty cool and does some interesting stuff in here. Surprisingly, Christopher Lloyd was in this. I wasn't expecting to see him, and great. He's fantastic. He's just doing the Christopher Lloyd thing, and at his age now, that's pretty cool to see still. So, The Tender Bar, it is dramatic in the moments it needs to be. It's funny in the moments it needs to be. It's Good Will Hunting in the moments that it should be. And in the moments it shouldn't be, it's kind of a loose mess with interesting directing and dialogue that could go somewhere but ultimately doesn't. But if I had to walk away from this, if anything, it's a positive attitude. And I think this is a really solid film that feels right for streaming, which I hate to say that. But as far as this film that's just streaming goes, it's fun, it's solid, and it's better than some of the other stuff that any of the streaming services have brought out. So, good for The Tender Bar for actually being about something. Even if that's a mixed message, better than others. So, The Tender Bar, I'm going to give a 6 out of 10. And thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.